All right, everybody. Good morning. We're going to get through our gappers here as always this morning, but I do just want to give a little precursor here to be careful today. We have not seen the market gap down this much in several years overnight, so I'm going to probably take it pretty easy today. Things are probably not going to be in the favor of longs, and so for that reason, the way that we trade typically, it might not be necessarily in favor. So we're going to be watching some inverse ETFs today, watching the SQs, maybe get some opportunity there, but I still want to be focusing in on these small caps that are hot today. So we're going to be looking at MGOL and a few others. We're going to look through the scan here and see if we have anything. But the idea today is going to be to look for relative strength. So looking for the names out there that are, of course, relatively strong compared to the rest of the market. So we're going to be looking for that today. But again, just be careful playing any breakouts today. If you do, make sure to wait a longer period of time for confirmation. Let the price base over that level first and confirm buyers. Otherwise, the likelihood of fake outs and just getting slammed by shorts today, it's going to be kind of gross. So that's a little warning there before we get into the day. Don't expect a crazy day today at all on either side. Really, the big issue with this now is since we've already gapped down more than 20 points this morning, you start to run into an issue where on one side, you don't want to chase the downside and try to play the inverse ETFs or try to short things when we're already down more than 20 points this morning. Everything's pretty much made their moves to the downside, and at this point, there's not much range really left onto the downside. So, and then on the flip side, you don't want to try to go long and fight the trend. So it's kind of a mess right now, and that's why these gaps overnight are such a pain because it's hard to really pick a side without, like I said, chasing. It's hard to pick a side without really chasing a direction or chasing a trend or trying to anticipate a trend. And so for that reason, it can be kind of gross. But we have a few gappers this morning we're going to look at anywho. So we do want to watch this here. Look at GDHG here gapping this morning. I'm assuming has news. I don't see it yet populating on the news scanner, but we do apparently have something here that's causing this to gap. I do want to watch GDHG today. If we can get the break of 18 or even 19 cents, we can watch. Let's watch the break of 19 on GDHG later. And if you guys could real quick, let me know in the chat if you guys have sound. If you have sound, just take like 2 seconds and just say yes or no. Obviously, you won't be saying no if you don't have sound, but if you do have sound, just say yes real quick for me. All right, so GDHG we've got to watch today for buyers. Let's just watch it over 19s. You've got range on this today as well to the, let's double check the range, about 23 and 25. So nothing crazy, but at least enough for us to maybe watch it later. I'm not going to be playing anything in pre-market though, so keep that in mind. There's just simply not enough liquidity to try and clear the odds of a fake out in pre-market. So I need to wait until after the open today. I know we typically do anyways, but today in particular, wait until after the open. I need more volume, need more price action to be able to see what's really going on. So for that reason, I'm waiting. Let me double check the sound. Yes, there's sound. Okay. Cool beans. MGOL, we do want to watch today. This was really our strongest gapper that we had overnight. I do want to still watch this today. Probably the same plan from the nightly watch list. I know I'll have to look through the whole watch list here. We have like 4 stocks on it, or actually 6 stocks on it, including the honorable mentions. But let me see here. Market trying to bounce back up into the 515 area. Let's see. So MGOL, we wanted to watch initially over 365. I'm not necessarily against watching it to the upside here, except the only thing is now I'd really have to watch it over 385 because of how it's set up this morning. So if we do over 385, we've still got about 10% of range. So we can still make that happen. You've got range to about 420 and then to 440. And that's on MGOL on the break of that little flag they're forming there going into the open. So watch that today. Again, it'll have to be over 385. I don't like it anywhere below. But anywhere over 385, you do have the range here to 420 and 440. So that still gives you roughly 35 cents of range. And that will be enough for me to at least watch that one today. Let's see. So that one held up well. I may also watch it off pullbacks. I was a bit tempted to. If we can watch it over like 340 or 338, then we might do that. So let's also watch it off of, I'm going to put it on here twice. Let's also watch it off 337 for the range back to 375 and 385. So we're going to watch it one of two ways. We've got two, either over 385 or off 337. So either playing it off the demand area here from this morning or playing it through highs later if we do find buyers after open. There's 15 back on S&P, so maybe we get a little bounce on that going into the open, but I would not get your hopes up for a reversal. We're still down almost 18 points this morning on it, so still down more than 3.33%. Not a great look. Still tons of weakness, but a little curl back to the upside until we possibly move back to the downside after open. And like I said in the chat earlier too, keep in mind if we do gap down just another 3.5%, we're going to hit circuit breaker. And that's when reality is kind of going to start to set in with a lot of people out there. We're going to see a lot of panic. Going to see a lot of panic. So just keep that in mind. We get a lot out there that has gapped down this morning. There's a lot of panic out there. I'm going to be watching the SQs today. I do want to watch the SQs today. I don't know how yet, but we're going to watch it based on the market. I'm going to put it at the bottom of my list for now. And I'll look at the Qs here in a minute. Let's see. I think we've gone through all of our gappers. Literally all of the gappers this morning are just your inverse ETFs. I've probably gone through 20, 30 tickers so far that are just simply inverse ETFs. And obviously, we're not going to have a million inverses on our list this morning. So what we have for today, though, GDHG, MGOL, two different plans on MGOL. And we've also got SQQQ, which, of course, inverse ETF to the Qs. We will see if we can't find a decent setup on that. If the market does continue to trend to the downside after the bell today, then at least we'll have sort of a backup plan. Let's see. As for the nightly watch list goes, we've got RDHL, OSTX, and DRMA. I do want to look at those real quick. I'm assuming they probably gapped down. And if they have, we just won't look at them. We've got DRMA to watch over 315. That is now in the twos. So we're not going to be watching that one for now. We've got OSTX to watch today over $4. That hasn't gapped down much this morning, but not much volume. I will still put it on the list. Over 4. The range to psych levels overhead. We've also got RDHL, and that is the last one that I wanted to go over. Let's see what we have here. We wanted to watch this one today over 53. It's holding right there at 53, so I'll look at that one today too. My only thing with playing names like this though today is you've got to think with how weak things are out there. I don't really want to be playing any pullbacks on anything. I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive because I already said earlier we might get stuck in a fake out trying to play breakouts, but there's a certain way to go about it to wait for more confirmation before we do take an entry on a breakout. But the idea today is going to be to look for relative strength in the market because the market is obviously deep in the red this morning so far. Huge weakness. So the right way to go about it is sitting back a few minutes after the bell, maybe 5 minutes after open, maybe even 10. See what starts to set up for the day with a positive, just a positive setup. Something that's, clean, strong trend. Look for that. Similar to DRMA on Friday, the market was red on Friday. We were still green because of DRMA. We traded it 6 times because it confirmed a strong move there after the bell. We gave it some time, took a pullback, and was able to play it a few times. So probably similar today. Markets like this are a great time to learn. It's a great time to focus on discipline because there might not be anything today. And if we don't find anything, you just sit back. Because like I said, you're kind of in a weird spot right now where you don't really want to chase the downside by playing the inverses because we've already gapped down, 20 points this morning. You also want to have be smart when it comes to playing the longs too because you don't want to try and fight the trend. And so that's why it's going to be a little bit tricky today when it comes to really trying to play either side. But we'll see what happens. We've got a few gappers to watch. We're going to be keeping an eye on the scanner as well. Hopefully that can present some opportunities like we had on Friday too. But we'll have to see. We will have to see. But that's why I'm kind of hesitant to play RDHL this morning. Yes, it's near my criteria, but the thing is, if the market is this weak, do I really want to be playing pullbacks? Not really. I want to be looking for the names that are showing just severe strength. I mean, heavy buyers coming in, heavy interest. I want to be finding the names that are really in the spotlight this morning that, are having those buyers circle around to it. And you would think that usually the small caps would get some nice action whenever the market is weak, but the thing to consider too is since the small caps are heavily dominated by retail, retail also, of course, shows the most emotion. And so whenever you have these crazy gap downs in the market, you also see some fear pour over into small caps too, which is why you're seeing gap downs in small cap, which is why you're probably going to not see great follow through this morning because people are going to be taking profits, extremely quickly. Shorts are going to be piling in. And so it's going to be kind of a crazy day. And for that reason, just have to be extra picky. But we've got about 15 minutes until the bell. Let me get all of my charts pulled up, then we can go over some questions if you have any before we get into the open today. Just make sure you do get everything pulled up. I would have the Qs and SPY on your screen somewhere. I've always got SPY on my screen, but I would at least add the Qs to the mix today because I might look to play the SQs depending on how we open. Of course, the Qs are down 22 points this morning. Almost 5%. Just make sure everything's pulled up, though. Make sure you're fully ready to go. Let me get that done real quick, and then if you have any questions, I will check the chat and go over those. But really the biggest thing today is just make sure you're staying picky. Don't try and force anything today. Don't try and chase the downside on anything and say, oh, this thing's so beat down, it's going to come back. Don't do that. Wait for what is strong. And we will look to play whatever is strong today, if there is anything that's strong today. And if not, again, just don't chase the downside. All right, I think I'm ready. Got everything up on my end. Let's see, you're saying, is it worth trading today? I would say it's worth trading today. I don't think there's going to be many things to trade today, but I think it is still worth trading. But the idea, again, it's not to force anything. I'm not saying we're going to find something per se, but you can at least come in and see if there is anything that sets up. But again, it's a good disciplinary practice to come in today, and if there is nothing, that you just sit there and wait. You watch the market. Just watch the market, but you got to really be prepared, be picky. Those of you that are newer to trading, if you go around chasing today, you're probably going to get your butt handed to you. So make sure you're not doing that. But aside from that, I think we'll be okay. I am going to size down a little bit today, obviously. A little bit risk off, a little bit more defensive. I don't want to go in full size today while the market's down, 23 points. Not really what I want to do. And that's kind of why this is so different. Had the market not gapped down overnight, there would be a lot more opportunity on either side. But because of the overnight gap down, that's why this is kind of so tricky. But yeah, we'll be okay. As long as you don't have an issue with forcing trades, I think that you'll be okay today. You just have to really sit back and be patient and wait for things to set up and come to you. And there may only be a very small number of trades today. What are the SQs? SQQQ, it's the inverse of the NASDAQ. So whatever the NASDAQ is doing, the QQQ, the SQQQ does opposite times 3. So it's a good way to, of course, leverage yourself in a downward market. But again, I don't know if we'll chase that today because, again, the market's already down so heavy this morning. Qs are already down 5.5%, 25 points on the Qs. So, is there enough upside, or I guess I should say, is there enough downside to warrant looking at the Qs? We'll have to look. I don't know. Like I said, it's going to be an interesting day. We haven't seen a gap down like this overnight in years. I really can't recall in the last 4, maybe even 5 years that we've seen a gap down like this overnight. So it's going to be interesting. And it all started last night. I sent that that news in the chat about how the Japanese bond market hit circuit breaker last night on the futures. And that's really what triggered all this panic. It's crazy. It's like a domino effect. But we've got about 14 minutes until the bell. Again, it's going to be kind of a crazy day. But it should be hopefully a good day of learning. Should be a good day with a few good trades, hopefully. All right, you guys over on TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube, I've gone over about 5 setups that I like for this morning. But this is going to be a crazy day. And I'm going to go and shut down those streams now to get ready for the open with the team. But make sure you do prepare for the open today. Make sure as well, if you don't know how to trade in this market, you do claim your 7-day free trial to watch me trade live this morning. And good luck today. I will see you guys later. And peace out, guys.